Hola, torceroritos. No doubt you have heard the proverbial phrase that there is no I in team. But today I'm here to convince you, one way or another, that there is an S in Perfecto. And here's why I say so. Here are two Perfectos, tapered at the end, straight in the body. Look at this, right? Look at this. Okay? That's why there's an S in a Perfecto. Is that clear enough? Maybe not. So let's go to one which is not homemade, but is factory made. This one's made on a cigar rolling machine. It's made by FX Smith's Sons. They've been making Perfectos like this for something like 160 years. They probably know what they're doing. It's tapered at the end. This one's a little bit box pressed. Nevertheless, look what happens. And look what happens. It might make it easier to understand what I'm talking about if we were to have a microscope so that we could observe closely. Not having a microscope, I will show you very quickly how to make a microscope out of a plastic bottle. Here's the bottle. There's the demonstration. You see what happens? What I'm saying is that the tip of the Perfecto is a smaller circumference, obviously, than is the barrel of the thing. Consequently, if we were to lay our wrapper down flat on this tabla and we wanted to wrap that tip tightly with that wrapper, a couple things would happen. Number one, our cigar is going to tip upwards. But number two, and this is where the S comes in, the head of this business describes an arc of a circle. You see? So, we're going to have an arc here at this end. We're going to have an arc the other way at the other end. In other words, we are going to have an S. Arcing here, arcing there. If you don't believe me, after all, who am I? I'm just a guy who has rolled several hundred Perfectos. I don't know what I'm doing. That's nothing. There's guys at factories who roll 400, 500 cigars a day, day after day, for 30 years. That's how they keep a shelter above their family's head. Even that is nothing. It pales by comparison with this S. This S is something that's called a carrier. This S was made maybe 100, 120 years ago. Ignore these two lugs here. This is places where this attaches to a machine. And just look at the shape we're looking at. It is an S. Here's what this carrier does. It actually operates like so. All these holes are passages for air. The air sucks through and lifts a leaf. So the lady will stretch out a leaf upon a die that's on the machine. A roller goes and cuts that leaf to the shape of the die. Then the carrier comes over and air pumps through here, and it goes and sucks that leaf up and carries it over to the part of the machine where it gets rolled. What happens is this little slot, a pin comes through here, pops up the end of this S-shaped wrapper onto the foot of this guy, the pointy end. Pops it up. This guy goes around like so, making an arc, moving around until it comes to the barrel, at which point it rolls the rest of the way, and then this round bit whips around and around this top of this machine-made cigar and serves as both the flag and the cap. Okay? Now this guy, like I say, it knows of what it speaks. It is authoritative completely. This machine rolls 5,000-6,000 cigars per shift. Shift after shift. If you had 2-3 shifts a day over a space of 100, 120 years, There's untold millions of cigars which this device has been able to produce. Believe me, if there was a better way, those clever geniuses of the 19th century would have found it. No. This is the way, this is the answer. It's an S. Now this is important because if you're a beginning cigar roller and you want to get into having a mold, you probably go to eBay, you see these antique molds, they look precisely like so. These molds are left over from before the machine took over. These molds are left over from when cigar rolling was a cottage industry. And what would happen across the state of Pennsylvania, for instance, is that when a woman got the children to bed, she would sit down at the kitchen table, begin rolling cigars for the cigar factory. This is what she used, and this was the shape. Now I have a guess as to why they used this shape. My guess is, in the days before torch lighters, when you had a blowtorch of a lighter, you were using a match or a slip to light your cigar. All you had to light was this little skinny end of the cigar, and then your ember would travel up until it reached the barrel of the thing, and away you go. At any rate, this is what you're apt to see for sale on Etsy or on eBay, is one of these Perfecto molds. And so the question arises, a number of people have asked me, how the heck do you roll this thing and get this complex shape out of a flat leaf? Well, this is how. You make that complex shape by cutting your flat leaf into an S shape. Now, when I do it, I don't necessarily cut the binder into an S. I do cut the wrapper into an S. But when I'm binding, I will pretend that that binder is in an S. Go like so. Lay it down, do the rest of that. Tip it up, do this far end here, so that it's virtual sort of an S. After all, the rest of the shaping is going to be done by the mold. But when it comes to wrapping the thing, then I do cut an S. And I'll show you all what I'm talking about here in the next two parts of the video. First I'll show you the wrapping, where the S is cut. Then I'll show you the binding, where the S is only a pretense. So, hang on, we'll be right with you. Okay, so let's wrap one of these Perfectos using the S method. We'll get something first, roughly the shape of that S that we're looking at. What I like to use is this little rotary cutter. It's sort of like the world's smallest pizza cutter is what it is. Named Olfa, O-L-F-A. You can get them at Amazon or any kind of place that has art supplies. A friend of mine sent me this. His name is Roger, and I think you can get them a little bit larger than this too, which might be real handy. You could do the same thing with your Chavetta, especially if you have one with a rounded back edge, but this I find real convenient because look how slick this thing works. Simple as that, real quick. We have something making roughly an S type of a shape. So here's what we're going to wrap. We'll put that there. We'll flip that edge over, just like that little pin flips that. We're going to milk this inner part here. To see what I'm doing with this? Going to milk that over there. We're going to give it just a little bit of a roll this way, stretching it as we go. Milk a little bit more of this over here. Give it another little couple of degrees of a turn. We're not trying to get everything done all at once. Milk that excess over. And here we go. We're just about ready to take off with the shaft of this thing, which is real easy rolling. There we go. We're about done. Now we're going to complete our S at the other end, about like so, and like so. It's plenty of an S. Going to get us some glue to put on here, mostly right in here. This is where your important glue goes. All right, a little bit of a bit going there. Now, straighten that bird out like so. Now when we come to the other end, you see, I'm tipping up this way now. Get around the top. And here we go. We're just done. Quick and easy as that. We're going to spin this top end like this. We don't really want to twist it like this, because that would introduce wrinkles into the top edge. It's better just to go something like that, or like this. Hold it a couple times on the table to smooth it out. Moving efficiently, going right along. Get our cap on there. And that's it. We have put the S in Perfecto. Alright. Look what we've done with the tip of this. Huh? Because we went like this. We rolled it around, holding it up at an angle and describing an arc with the shaft of it going around like the arm of a watch. Laid it down flat on the bowl of it. Tipped it up the other way when going toward the top. Simple as that. That's your S. So let's bunch up a Perfecto, and we're going to do it using this S as a model. The first thing we have to pay attention to is the length of the materials that we're going to put in it. See, unlike a regular type of cigar, a parejo, you have one end which is quite constricted, the other end is fairly constricted. You can't simply make something too long and then snip off the excess to make it the right length. No, you have to make something which is the right length in materials for what the finished product is going to be. One of the advantages of this, of course, is you're not going to waste as much material. But you have to pay some attention. Now what I have discovered is that on my tabla, right here, there's a seam, as it happens, between these two blocks of maple. And that seam corresponds just about right to the length of the materials that I need to have in order to have it fit in this mold. So, that's pretty easy. I take my materials here. In this case, this is some mata fina, which was sold to me as binder. You tell me, does that look like binder to you? No bloody way. But still, it's tasty mata, so I'm going to use it here as filler. I'm going to cut it to length, right about where that seam appears. And of course, I'm taking the pieces I cut off and I put them end to end like that, so that the amount of material will be consistent on either end of the bunch. Doesn't matter if you cut it or pinch it, as long as you get the right length. If you're a pincher, then just put it like so and pinch the darn thing. Also doesn't matter if your materials are not full length. Let's say if you had something short, you put it here, and you supplemented it with something else that was short and put it there, it would still work. Roll that bit up. If you're going to make yourself a Perfecto, where you want it to be a little bit plumper in the middle than at either end, then at this point you can take some of these extraneous materials that are otherwise left off and you can fit them into the middle in order to plump the middle up. From time to time I like to feel at it and see if I have what feels like the right amount of bulk. I'll take that, I'll compare it with one of these and say, does it have the right amount of stuff in it? What do you think? When I get to where it's starting to feel right, then I will go for what I call the JIC factor. That's J-I-C. JIC stands for just in case. And the JIC factor is, when you think you have enough, put a little bit more in just in case. That feels like about enough plus a JIC right there. So we'll take our binder. You can see that I did not cut the binder into an S shape. However, I am going to pretend that it's in an S shape, because what I'm going to do, I'm going to lay the materials down like so, with the bowl of the thing, the body of the thing coming up at an angle like so. I'm going to take this and flip it up over the end, just as I said this little pin would have flipped the wrapper up using that thing. And then I'll swivel the body of it around like the arm of a watch, pinching my materials down. Sometimes I like to use a third hand. It's just more convenient. And so I have thoughtfully provided myself with a third hand. My third hand in this case is made out of bronze. You could use an old rock or whatever it is that you have weighty about you. When you get toward the other end, then I like to tip it up the other way and start to taper this end, the same as I did the other end, by sweeping it around in a watch type movement, and then here we go. We'll take the foot, we insert it into the mold, we give a little tug right here to make the nose of that thing fit in, and there we go. We have bunched with an S. So now let's bunch another one just for the flatfish, you know, just for the halibut. Cutting it to length. Moving swiftly, because I don't believe that you can do something well wasting time. After all, the people who do this professionally and do the best job are not painstaking people. They're very practiced, but they practiced with speed. They had to complete so many in order to support their family. So they're used to doing it quickly. Just as if you were to find yourself a concert pianist or a pretty good guitarist, I assure you he would have practiced his arpeggios. So if you want to do it right, do it efficiently. That's my view. Let's see, let's stuff a little bit more in the middle to plump this Perfecto up. I like to have a Perfecto that's plumper in the middle because it has a more voluptuous type of an appearance to it. It doesn't have to be a whole lot to make the effect, because the eye can tell the difference even when the eye can't tell the difference. You know what I mean. So just a little bit of a swelling in the middle makes a diff. Here we go. Let's get our binder. Put the nose of it in here at an angle. Flip the end over. Start rotating it around like the hand of a watch with the body of it canting upward. We'll get ourselves a third hand so that we can stretch it just a my wee bit. Now we're going to lay the bowl of it, the shaft of it down. And when we get toward the other end, we're going to make a taper there also. Roll it up around itself. The nose of it goes in here, give it a tug. The head of it goes there, and we're done. Not much wastage. And in a few minutes, we have bound our Perfectos with an S.